오. 음. All right. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Despite the bad weather, and you made an effort. You are here, so thank you for coming. And well, we have been focused on particular areas of mind training in Buddhism. And so the particular area we have been focused on so far and primarily is related to one of the key factors of our very existence, that is the death, or the impermanence of the death. So here, as a part of the mind training, and this very practice of the impermanence of death being highlighted to serve its not its sort of a general understanding of a human reality, but rather for the spiritual, to enhance one's spiritual realization. So in general, from Buddhist cosmological point of view, when you look in, think about the very existence here on Earth. So Buddhist cosmology believes that the entire system of the cosmos, or universe, you like, and basically, as far as the sentient beings are concerned, can be classified or categorized into 6 different types of beings. Okay? So there are 6 different kinds of living beings in the universe, or the cosmos. And so now, when you look in, and again, from the qualities of the status, all right, and then a status, or the quality status of all the 6 types of sentient beings, then the Buddhism further divided or classified the 6 types of sentient being into 2 categories, and one is called the pleasant rebirth, and then the suffering and or the painful rebirth. In other words, so beings are endured with also called the higher rebirth or lower rebirth, or good rebirth, a bad rebirth. So now you bring yourself up into this scene, the scenario, the scene of Buddhist cosmology, and to find yourself where you are oriented. So in looking for your own very orientation, and obviously, so we're born as human being, and we are humans, so therefore we belong to this the good rebirth or higher rebirth, which is considered a very fortunate category of sentient being. And again, within this higher rebirth, a good rebirth, and there are 3 different types of beings there. One is called a divine being, or god, goddess, and the celestial being, and others called demigod. Another is the humans. So, and then when you look at the bad rebirth, right, and animal beings, and hungry ghosts, and helping. So now let's take it away. The celestial being, or the realms of a celestial being, and the heaven, and the heavenly and the pleasant beings, and in the heaven, and also that take away from the hungry ghost or hell's being away. Just for and demigods and the realm of demigods away. Just focus on something that we can apply our own and knowledge, our own experience, and then approach the life. So from our own experience, and as far as we are capable, and the best of our capacity in terms of understanding, we know that animals there, and we humans, and obviously it's here, and so then we can understand our status and better, and we can see to do the comparison. So particularly when we think about this our life as a human being from the physical, the body perspective, and you will see that so among all the other beings, right, and, like animal beings and us, if you do comparison, so the form of body we have or we obtained in this present lifetime is called a precious human rebirth. It is called a precious human rebirth is because with this body as a base, right? As a base or as a foundation, and then we are compared to all other beings, other sentient beings. We are sort of empowered. We are sort of being given so much absolutely unique and powerful the faculties, or we are sort of being enabled. We are able to our birth as human being, and give us so much greater and the power and the capacity. For example, first of all, we all all sentient beings can senses, right? Can senses, can feels, but only humans, and they are not only can senses and feels and can think of things, and they can describe whatever the concepts or ideas or the feelings they experience. They can verbalize it. They can explain it. They can express it freely, and further. And not only can express it and can conceptualize it, but they can also contemplating. They can contemplating. In other words, they can examine. Right? They can examine the nature, the status of that very the feelings or thoughts, and to determine the nature of that very thoughts. And even more than that, and being a human being, so you can meditate. You can meditate on a particular set of mind or the knowledge, and to enhance your living status or the qualities of your life. So we really particularly do this comparison with the human rebirth, the opportunities and being born as a human being, and then do any other beings. So you will see that how precious the human rebirth is, and so. Yes, then you will get a much deeper sense of appreciation, right? So yes, indeed, and we not only can sense it, but we can express it, and we not only can express it, we can sort of define it, and we can contemplating and then those ideas or thoughts or sensations, and then further, we can meditate on the highest form of or the most the insightful the thoughts and the ideas, and then to address our basic needs or the human conditions, to improve our the human conditions. However, we got a problem. That is, even though we got such a precious human rebirth, but first of all, based on our previous explanations or discussions, we know human rebirth, the human body, is truly very difficult to obtain, and also it's very easy to vanish or easy to damaged and destroyed. And this is because of the impermanence of death. Okay, and it's due to the reality of the impermanence of death. Impermanence of death means the separation. When you think about the death or impermanence of death, and think about the separation, that's really what that's saying, talking about is the separation of your conscious and from your body, and your connections, all the connections you've been formed, created in this lifetime, and the death will destroy these connections, take it away from and all the privileges of these connections and take it away from you. And so then we also have discussed this. We are living, right? And we enjoy and appreciate our human existence. However, when you think about this separation as the final or the last experiences of your human existence, you see that the conditions which support you to live longer or sustain, right, your human existence is actually very limited, right, or few are very limited and very fragile. But the conditions or facts that could take your precious human rebirth from away from you or destroy it, and those conditions factors are a tremendously a great and a much greater or many compared to those favorable conditions or supportive conditions. So when you look in this real thing and reality, and then as a Dharma practitioner, and you would come to draw the conclusion, say, yes, under such circumstances, I got to apply my precious human body and to do something to enhance my spiritual realization, and I also have to use my verbal capacity or the ability of verbal the communication, the verbally can communicate. This is sophisticated the faculty and of communication, the verbal and action, and apply this verbal action and to directed to the all kinds of virtuous action, and then most importantly the mind. So I got to let's direct my mind and let my mind into all kinds of virtuous action. So you would draw such a conclusion, you will determine to doing so. The truth is, if you not consciously make this decision and lead towards your body, speech, mind to such a virtuous or wholesome action, then the reality is that you are going to experience at the body, verbal, and mental level what you will be living under the influence of the defilement or the destructive emotions, such as like anger, jealousy, and pride, and doubt, and so on and so forth. So those are like anger, right? And the jealous will lead you sort of dominate your body and body action, your verbal action, and your mental actions. So therefore, this body we received as a human body, which is like foundation, which is like ground. The ground. You can think of this human body as a ground. So the ground as the very function or the useful the thing which a ground can do is can make the things growing, right? So therefore, it's up to us how to use this ground or fields, right? The kind of plant of the plantations, right? The plantations to plant what kind of things, seeds into that rich soil. So His Holiness Dalai Lama and often mention and advise his audience. And he keep in saying that apart to the think about our human body as the rich soil, and we need to plant the good and healthy and productive and the valuable grains. And he also used another analogy as a vase. Right? Human body is like a vase. Right? This vessel. The vessel, the vase. This vase is it's something that's useful. It's a container, right? This container, vase-like container, the human body is so useful. But if you do not properly, right, use it, and then this vase could accumulate all kind of bad stuff, and this stuff will get in and accumulate it, and then get spoiled, and it was it's not only look now, it's not only look as bad and ugly, but it also smells very badly, and then this vase also can, and the things, the inside of the container, because it is bad, then not only going to hurt the itself, but it's going to affect the areas. For example, all those can come from that container, the vase, and very badly, and makes others around very badly. So this human body, just like the rich soil and also useful container, such as the vase. So we must keep it in a good shape, use it properly, and to make a great use of it. Otherwise, it will do the opposite thing and to us. So therefore, it's really up to us. And therefore, every day, when you wake up in the morning and you think about it, so what is the purpose of my day, right? Essentially, you have to have the purpose for your life, right? Your lifetime. And then in the morning when you wake up, you need to also set up a clear goal and for your that particular day. And so you must kind of reflect quickly, say, I'm going to run through my day, or lead through my day, do everything throughout my day, and then based upon the clear understanding and practice of loving kindness, compassion, right? So at the very least, I will try to help do something which is beneficial, help others as much as I could. At the very least, I will try to avoid anything that's considered to be harmful, damaging, and to others. So this way, and when you set up your daily goal, the goal for your every day, and at the beginning of your day, meaning that after you wake up, and then in the day after you set this goal for the day, then from an hour, right, and so on the hourly base, and you kind of examine and so the process of your own practice, right, and then throughout the day, and the hours, and then makes a day, and then go through all lead your life in such a way, and then your life will be become something very meaningful and very productive. And so anyway, to make this conclusion, and let me just by saying that one word that to close my brief summary is that first of all, what we have learned so far is and the particular areas we learned so far is the focus was the impermanent and the human reality, the human existence. But the human existence is threatened by the reality of the impermanent death, and the importance of the human rebirth, and the purpose of the human rebirth in this particular context. Yeah, no, having my member can draw. Oh, look. Then the Jawla and the December origin. Lasso. Yeah, Lasso. Okay. So now please go to your copy of the translation and page 32. And here in the middle of the page, and so it says, we're going to read this. Only the doctrine can help at the time of death. At the time of death, our relatives, friends, body, and possessions are of no help. The letter to King Kanika says, as the ripen the fruit of past actions, you will be completely abandoned. In accordance with your new actions, you will be seized by the Lord of Death. Nothing but your virtues and misdeeds will escort you. No one will accompany you. Since all will return to their destiny, no one will accompany you. Understanding this, please practice well. Sri Jagatamitra said in his letter to Chandra Raja, even if you possess the wealth of a god, in the next world, after death, you will be as one attacked in a barren land, alone, deprived of princes and queens, with no clothes and bereft of friends, bereft of friends, dispossessed of a kingdom and a castle. Although you may have great power and strength, nothing is to be seen and nothing heard. Not one single person can follow you. In short, when not even your name will then exist, what else is there to say? Contemplating in this way how ultimately death is certain, its time is uncertain, and at that time nothing is of any help except the doctrine. Resolve to practice it now. Within the holy doctrine, meditation on the awakening mind is the primary practice. Having ascertained this, everything will become a factor of the training in the awakening mind. 这样说吗？
老说，但是some time的some time的，但我们是，但처음에 지금 받은 아주 정말 오늘 사무실 동안 정말 시기를 받다 정말 남측이 봐 시기가 같이 시기를 지나 시기가 대임을 시기 말을 내가 말. 일단 남측이 멤버. 단 치위째 망한 가지고 하고 요래 맨날 사마사 땅들 만들고 나서 그거 맞대면 좀 어떻게도 근데 지당로 때 배다 뭐라다 필요서 되는데 망보 치기 망아요. 정말 지나 시징이지 다. 다 시위지 송을 시송나 끼와시마세 간다지 요래지. 다때 삼동아지로. 끼와시마세 간다지 요래 다 끼와 합시세 킬린 당을들. 다 끼와 합시 로다 안 끼와 합시 요 당매세. 끼와 합시 요나 끼와 합시 때 로에 가는 로 그러지. 어떻게 좋아들려고. 좋아들려고 주다가도 다 넘버 성지 치노나 가시고다. 그런 것 때문에 내가 다당에 다시 퐁퐁하고 될다 비 미들라 미 망진 먹을 망키다 우지. 산진남시 이진남시 시기다고 되요래. 너 제망에 리든더니 봐 사침 종화 매롱 종화 틴진 리든이 조트 파이야지 남시도 실와 톤르서 남시대 지당 그 서리기 차가 니와지 니와때 아니 강성 전지비나 따따로동 하 강동 드르스 찰라 저 송소나 디니모네 디 파쇼클리 디 모지로서 디기 망 타도 다다네 미리세 삼바 지기 차려 요 말이야 다 기왕 마시 때리 찬조도 여러 영화 말에서 시험구나 땅 아주 단다 접시 땅에 삼 땅에나 땅미 멋진 디동다 지땅 아주 지든들 마 기기로 가도 민도와 망보도 기기로 로아들 샘땅다 바 샘마다 많이 걸 배돌아서 소라 데드 그 소라 용 소라 데드 그 소라 용 근데 간다지 용화래 저때 강의 용화라지나 따때 남시세 디나라 데드 그 소라 용 그 서르크 차지 니와지 용 거. 니와때 말하는 거 남시기 인도 남시 코랑다 서르크 차다 그치 지기 or다. 인데 인 마실라베 드리 기와시 마시만 상기 기와다 인도 로버서 거다. 디 인자다 안에 디 니와때 시고 니와때 기왕 없이 시고다. 없이 참 좋고 남시기 니와때. 다 남시기 니와때 요 당매서 디 요라잖아. 다 남시때 첸드니 시톤로나 다나가랑 리드를 차섬지 넬라 패션까지 되어다 리드던 카 니마치라 가 델라 테비 니 리라 테니 텔란 로이 비다 니 롱초사 기 롱초 제롱초사 다다디 카티 겨울 시기도 겨울에나 코르퍼즈 쪽바 롱초퍼즈 쪽바 차성 요래 이나 겨울 참아 아니 되게 코퍼즈 쪽바 요르드 때는 직전이가 네트 요르즈 니가 말망저 시차 시소나 겨우인지가 지와시만 의차도 냠대다다 겨우 코르던지 롱초도 저 루트고 두고 말했다 그런 거 티들라 남는가를 상원은 디기지스는 로아마도 요 말서 대자단 대리가 로사도 지와시만 루아게티 네급도 요메세도 소소런 것들이 다시 당 삼로 당지 치와응지 받다 삼로 당마 시고르다 원에 나오네 그 치와그런 것 자동 체험 다 시소나 지와시만 요도 메세때 소소 다시 당다 요당 메세때 이게 나네 리파도 때 메송아이나 아니 다당 아주도 디지 무슨들들 뭐뭐 기와 레옹 기와 랑용조 랑용소 랑주텔라파 소소소 남시기 전에 삼루 만다와 지 제당 만다와 소소 레 만다와 때 기와레사 만다와요 대자다 때 가르치니 차요 아니 미카실라 베기와 기니 sonde 준준에 이제 게슴라 셈나 셈상보지 정식 시가상보지 용고 꼴찌 땅보 기슴년에 배야지 사람 정마존이 소슴다 때리베 지 드라마 쇼전 지고 삼때리고 삼도 때 가르치 영어로 교환하면 고쳐서 거다. 영어를 고쳐는 교환만 세대라 안에 셈상보금 역고지 띠 리기비오건 기사대 지 역고 파마상보 네상보라 기 교환의 강서대나 고지 랑진도 교환라 좋아지 연들라 좀더 받던지 교환의 것을 다 세대라 그빵 남바 장정치나 아니 지금 땅안 속 맞게는 미겨는 말나 미트 교환의 특집ችን 아니 낭미들 교환도 드라마 시와 다 상마들이 용라종이 장정 진이 엔디텐데들이 타만 그런 거 공무원 공시도 용 거지 인다 공시도 디 인사다 말고 인들이 소소런 거 샘라 일지당주 뜻같이 물다 또 교와시마 켈레나리 교와시마 켈레나 캬버면도라 저는 아주 상말로 무일지요 무일때 가르쳐 아주 참 대화도 아주 능력만도 때마로 성 무일 토모 아주 무일제 또 맞진 로았던 로다 유지성 또 아주 토모 무일 지송진에 딱 원에 좀 내기고요 내기요나 내기 강내고도 내기고나 내기 리도당 샘주고 근데 농주 조조바 조퍼슨 소바든지 농주 영화가 인코로 조당 데들란 로아절라든지 정도로 뜻 성은 푸스 소바지 용고고요 대 용시바데 간이 용거들 상당나 어떤 미트 샘기고 샘장보 야르샤와 정보 정말지 다시로로 그러니 소아자 통거지나 아니 미 고랑니 좀더 시디 낭민이 좀더 시디 코릭당 지어서 수데 근데 소소로나 조금만 진짜 뭐 조금만 dimse 가르자 나도 미 참아가 쓸마 나 코도 냠데 조나 나 캐펜 가르 데키 가르용도 때 상당도요 때 데키 때 마음 같이 넣텔라 능력제다나 밑에 같이 넣다텔라 조숨 짓하고 말때 저기 카트로 되나 나서 조금 해야지 로케이션 support 같이 나가서 지 콜텔 니와도나 페나 semjin tro tu na longba kang ji trol chi na trol te wa te rang ji chong go me to zu zma ka me to zma shi mo dong zhe yu zi gong da dong ma rang jin ge yo ma ko lo go te kang yi ze ti gang ni wa ji go te ma rang zu mi gang la te sem ge tang la ni wa de sham nyang ji tang chi jamping ge nyang ji yo ni wa te yo na 랑싱 미청가랑 수가 오진 그 수도 왕고된 그 수가 있고 가디는 설명 드라마 시와 짱짱 진이 삼번 나고 미랑 고고도 진짜 타마 찍 고고도 타바르데 타마니와 삼번다 미청마베 샘당의 마신바로 놓어지네 수 제당치 예들 샤다 나 정특정레의 정반다 바타라를 해고 대체 소수 샘나 글롱와스 샘 상무당당의 착고 대체 소수 샘도 소수 시다당니 샘 장보 등아 그런 대기고 도그로 소강하고야고 대기도 그러는 소수야 예 도세그로 대기도 나 대기도 강리 좀 보래즈나 대기도 샘 장보 지네 샤와 장보 공리 좀 보다 수수 때는 대랑 니만 찍고 되랑 아주 샘 장보 지 릴라 판비지 프로틴 샤와 강령와 샘라 대기 용화 샤와 강령와 어떤들라 지금 아니 샘 먹기와 지금 수도 따와만 템바들이 냠데 뭐 십교와 말때 심나 아니 잡으시오셔나 아니 조비지 아주 능을 용사가 디득 아주 접당 서로왔던 시유 샘비 콘데 남실리 파토르 서로왔던 시유 섭트지 조고일 넘바선지 시도 domba nimse 가서 서로왔던 시유도 조비지스 서로와 데득자데 아니 아주 차동 배교 그래서 너시 그 소바치니 차동 배교 너시 세드 너니 딱니가 아스데 되용거를 너가도 초차버치니 차동 지용 서로왔던 때는 서로와 가지고 지금 데득 서로와 용어다 델라테니 소바고 진짜 서로왔던 시이 섭도 배도는 섭도 비싸야 돼 가서 그 차동 배교 이해사때 시에서 그때잖아 대 소라는 용사가 지금 자동 패사가 지었다 타 니즈 많이 타랑스 되나 아니 용고 말때만 통화도 때 적당 가서 수수 지워서 통화만 받아 공비 또 요자 이 랍서 타 이후전 랍성때 다 메도 수 그래서 적당 안에 지금 예와서 준준주 살아야 나를 니 때는 니마치고 삼노 요고 땅땅땅 레벨 공패도 보고요 근데 밑바 준준 살아야 때는 니와 준준 살아 때 바마더니 가텔로 조심지가 마치가 마토에는 맞더니가 제로 나자 총총 이용나 당보리라 나자 총총도 그 포에나 이 요지지 마트나 레벨이 리용종 잡고다 근데 속되고 뜨동제 얘도 그 대자 랑토르가 니텔은 개바지네 랑토르가 니네도 배가서 미무치는 지금 대기 용사가 제로 가를 샘라 소수 시다가 당내나 아니 다 진들라 아데기 요래 교시마 요당 메시아 때 소수 가르도 유비 나다 리그용 같은 데와진 거서 그때서다 대상모고 당진이 당고 처음에 딱 봐서 근데 시위지라 가려용 건데 대상모고 딱 아니 리디스에 교시마 요당 메시아 대상모 리피트 때문에 어수 니비 때문에 예정만 셈 요르진 니바이나 근데 때는 이치 정말 예정만 때는 교시마 루스 말아 판도고 저 가려용 건데 소수 세들을 비교와 셈상보지 리슨 뭐기 좀 스토나서 봐서 딘디오도 소수 교시마면 대 마기윈 데르 때 수수교와 등을 용 거든 자도 대화도 등을도 봐야자 때 삼당 거다 어떻게 다 삼노고 땅진에 장화이나 같이 모르다 리들랑 요원이오나 때네 장신 그 요 체도 동 체시마다 마 돈이스게 장신 그 좋아 빼용 조이 당보 소수 이치지교 이치니야 제발 때나 리피는 tak시 땅의 소수문이 좀 전리 엔디든지 같이 모르세요 소수 동 셈땅의 럽시 땅이고 드드드드 요나 간다요 메나 간다베 멜리메트 요리 요통 시고 거시에다 다 매일 제가 심어 요 말을 땅나 요 말을 펜도고 요 말을 시치가 많통을 쓰는 저 맞는 선이 요 말과 선이 시치 통비대로 쓰 요 말로 되는 요 말. 요 말을 많통이 점증이 말해. 또 아주 다다 많통이 참 먹고요. 배나 먹으면 교 강성시나 디 말리께와는 좀 먹으면서나 디 멋진데라 yap던 카톡 통하고 그럼 까와 요 말때 yap던 카톡 매알스는 요로 그런 거는 요 말다. 그런 게 드디어 대리 상무고 당에나 다 르시 통을 르시 당에 니와지 좀 되는 못되는 데라 맞추지네 좀 거지. 그래서 뭔가 봐.
Well, the readings we just done, and is basically we can tell that, and through the citations and also the examples be given in here, so it's helping us to deepen our understanding of the impermanence of the death. and also make it as something that's relevant. It's something that we need to thinking and taking care of. Meaning that so all this is because it is a mind training, the part of the mind training. So we have to think about it. The way we're thinking has to be something that has to be critical and with a great sort of detail, and or our inquiry to this very subject matter, and it has to be very seriously and honestly being processed, because the thing is in general we all know we will be die, right? We also know and when we be die, we don't have a question about when we will be die, and so we even, and to some extent, we know that the conditions, the causes of longevity, and actually is very few, is hard to obtain. But the causes of the death is inevitably it's great, is as tremendous, is great, and many are there. For example, that if you just fail to pay attention and for a second, and while you are operating the motor vehicle, and that very instance of loss, not being attentive for a second, could cause you death right away. And also like food. If you're not carefully and managing, pay attention to what you are consuming, and that very food that you are eating could also cause you death. Right? So, yeah, we are sort of surrounded by all kinds of conditions and factors, negative conditions, factors. It's ready to take our life away from us. Well, once this we call the life take our life away from us, meaning that we are separated from this very existence or the experiences of here on earth, then we are stepped into and our next our next moment of experience is what we call the life after, right? Or yes, the life after. So what is life after? And is a life after is a particular dimension where you you will be end up, or there is no such a thing called after life, or the dimension after you die. There's nothing you need to go or you can go. So this is a question might occur in our mind, even though we have no questions about the previous discussions, such as when will we die? We don't know, and we know for no sure, and whether we will be die or not. Of course, we know for sure, and but we also know that so much negative conditions and causes there can cause us to die. And in a moment, we also know for sure, but sometimes we may have questions about what truly happened, going to be happen after we die, right? Is there such thing called life after? Is there a particular domain of dimensions and sort of an existence in the opening up, at the moment and when you separate from this mere human rebirth, human body or earth, then so is there such a thing there? And from a Buddhist point of view, of course, around this very and challenging and most difficult question about life after, all kinds of spiritual systems and philosophical discourse, schools of thoughts, and they have been pondering and discussing and arguing throughout the history. But here, from a Buddhist point of view, and we know that we humans are so have this body and have this sense and the sensibility, sentient, the capacity of it being sentient, and we have a consciousness, right? And because we have a consciousness, right? And then consciousness is like agents who dwelling, right, in occupying this particular physical entity, which is a body, the human physical and body. So therefore, and so our experiences obviously and clearly then tells us that and the conscious, something is conscious, something is the responsible or acting all kinds of reacting or acting or reacting to all kinds of the experiences or the phenomena. So we have this memorizations, right, and the sense of this the mental phenomena, and so we know our mind is functioning. The very functioning of our mind is cognitive and illuminating or luminosity, cognitive and illumination, luminosity. And it serves such a great functioning and in a particular way. So, and it's undeniable. It's so vivid and so obvious here. And so this separation of body and consciousness also is quite clear is the thing. And but if this separation is undeniable, and so the body left behind, this physical entity which we call the body left behind, but the consciousness, mind, and that very the cognitive and illumination, the entity or the phenomena which we call the consciousness, and it will continue going. That very the function, the entity which functions as a cognitive, which is a cognitive and illuminates. Illuminating will go on and then take a different forms of body, and then next moment you become something else physically, right? So from that moment onwards, so you are and goes on and become a different individual and different sentient being. But although it's not exact same, and so when you do this comparison and in previous life and the individual persons of the previous lifetime and the individual persons of the life after is not exactly the same. However, as far as the consciousness or the experiences and the propensities and the memorizations and all the mental experiences are concerned, and they are actually going on. There's continuation, there's continuation, and the continuity is carries on and going and passed down into from the previous lifetime and up on to the present one, and then goes on, passed down to that. That's how you can tell that we humans are and it differ and from the very beginning. And so because of this consciousness, the power of the conscious, right? We humans are naturally know how to selecting things, and how to highly selective, highly discriminative. We humans, of course, is and among all the animals and beings, and as a whole, and it's really the most capable sentient beings. Even when you look at the other beings, such as the honeybee, right? The honeybee, who know exactly what type of flowers and has the nectar and to extract it, and then goes on, right? And so all other sentient beings, then and they just have that natural the capacity to make the selections in the basic level. But that each sentient being's continuity of the consciousness is against transforming and from a moment to moment. It's the constant it's on the course of constant changing. But this power of discriminating and the power of being selective or respond to a certain thing and in a particular given circumstances, and is never goes away, but it keeps functioning and doing the performing its own and this creativity. The power itself is sustains somehow. So we leave this body, right, like the textbook says, and advise the king, right. And the king is here is example in the context of how to fully realize and free oneself from the attachment and to our present the human and the existence. So when you look at king is the most powerful person on earth, who has the great amount of wealth and they control the vast land and even owns one's own citizen in the ancient time. So who is someone, and you can tell it's so powerful. However, when the time comes to death, equally, just like any ordinary person, and when king's last breath of the king is broken and stopping breathing, then what happened is so that king takes nothing and can do nothing about his death, but has to go. When the king, like the ordinary person, after the death, his or her and the experience is the same as the others, meaning that the only whatever the karma that king is accumulated and or the actions he has been performed and he has ever taken prior to his death will transform into the faculty or the propensity and the power. Will direct his or her on the sense of conscience, sense of existence will keep going, and then lead to the next lifetime. And so again, let's go back. Say, is there any life after? Right, the king die or we die, right, and we cannot take anything. That's quite obvious, just like a king. And we also can't do anything about it to the death. However, then again, is there anything we need to go or not, right? So people, if you focus on the physical aspect of your existence, right, it's quite obvious. But the thing is, as we talk about from Buddhist point of view, when we say human being, a person, or self, right? We're not talking about this the physical form, because the physical form is the person's so it's vanished. Oh, we lost. Hello. Hello. Buddha. But the physical. The physical aspect to you is gone, and that's it ended and vanished. But the continuity of the consciousness is survived. Is survived. The reason we can say survived is because they are other than the scripture, we can rely on the scripture authority, right? And to make an argument to support our belief, but we also can use lots of physical evidence to support this very argument of the existence of a life after. For example, that the physical aspect you're gone, you left behind, vanished, but the continuity of this that self as a person and as consciousness is continued because you will see that when the persons are born right, into a particular family and come to into life, and if you closely examine within the same family, and there's a bunch of kids, a few kids, you will see that the kids are, even though they live in conditions and parents, right, and everything is equally the same. They share the same thing. However, the person from each individuality of personality, the personal preference, right, and especially the personal sort of the moral, from a moral point of view, the personal preference and the tendency, you can clearly see that everybody is very different. And especially when you look at this from the virtuous and non-virtuous perspective, look at the individuals born into same family, the way they acting or responded to the certain thing, and you will tell that God will be something that person is making him or her very active very differently than other is because of there's a continuity of the seeds and the mental experiences, and that the very power of the memorization and power of the things he or she went through in previous lifetime has been transformed, has been carried into this very present lifetime. That's why he or she is from same family but acting very differently. For example, there are person same family, but there are ones who are just naturally sort of very gentle and tender and merciful and very sensitive and caring. But there are others sort of super selfish and also very easily and agitated and mean and angry. So all this, right? And some other they just love to do a little creature. They want taking care of the small beings around. But there are others, the same family members and the child, and they just love to kill and smash the little creatures when they see. So why this? Nobody taught it, right? They haven't yet developed the sense of moral or about the importance of the respect other life, and all these things haven't taken place yet. However, they're just doing that in a very as a natural reaction. So then you got to believe that that the person, what he did or she did in his previous lifetime, that how that affected him or her here on earth in this lifetime. So anyway, the point is, and in Buddhism argument is that you cannot say that you don't see it, and or no one, and physically sort of like the physical entity can point it out and substantially sort of brought and in and with a great reputation, and so therefore it can't. You see, there's nothing, and so the argument, of course, the logical argument is that if you can't see or you didn't see, so far no one can really see as in the physical form, because first of all, the nature of that very object of knowledge is different than the material, right? And then there's anything that you have experiences. And secondly, also is the subtlety. Right, the subtlety of that object of knowledge, and so therefore, it's not about it's not existed. It's because you are someone who's lack of this technique, lack of capacity, and who is incapable to have this direct, develop this direct perception and can see it. So therefore, you can make such argument because you didn't see it. So therefore, no, there's nothing. It is not existed. That is very illogical. So anyway, when we look at this habituation of the person and the individualities, the unique preference, we got to say that yes. So. The continuity of life is existed, and the continuity of consciousness definitely is something undeniable. So, as a practitioner, Dharma practitioner, what do we need to do? Our goal, our task here is to transform our habituation, and to transform our attitude, and so from this lifetime into other lifetime. Because once you accept the idea of all these differences is related to, is a result, is in result to the previous life deeds, life experiences, then to transform one's the mental state and to change one's habituation, right? And it's become something that's the most important practice, right? So this requires us to use our own experience and use our knowledge, and also use our the environment properly, right? When I say use the environment properly, is that so when you are working on, right, this ideas of the continuation of the life in the life after or reincarnation, and so up until the point you really see it is as it is, you really got the certainty, right? Again, the certainty of the knowledge. And you got to be careful with the people or system and where you're going with, or you forming some kind of a relationship. Why? Because if you go talk to, make a very close, forming a close relationship with those who oppose and this idea of the continuation of the consciousness, the reincarnation, and the continuity of the previous life experience, and all the habituation, the explanation about the individuality, the differences of individuality, and the causes of a habituation. And if they believe doing the things which is opposite, then will give you very difficult time to gain and to develop the certainty, the certainty of the certainty of the knowledge, which understand this idea of afterlife. And so then, yes, so when you make a friend with them, and they not only harm you to further to gain the certainty of this idea, more easily, but in this danger, they also will take you to the different direction, and make you become a nihilistic view holder. So anyway, yes. So then sometimes the problem is that those who doesn't believe life after, or the continuity of the consciousness, and the causes of the habituation, the individuality, different individualities related to the previous lifetime, they are the one tend to make this make you believe the nihilism of the moral nihilism, the nihilism version of morality, and so then you will form no ground to be good and spiritually, so you only will go with the benefits, right? Well, if you go with the benefits, and from Buddhist point of view, right, and something beneficial, something is sort of pragmatic, which is also fine from Buddhist point of view, which is nothing bad at all. And but the thing is, you have to really continually and consciously dedicate yourself to the virtuous action, even if you don't still have questions, or you don't believe that the life after as something is absolutely true, and because you haven't developed such a clear view or obtained such a certainty and of the knowledge in this particular point and particular area. So, but they continue doing that good things because you need friends, right? And you need to have a good life, and you want to be wealthy, and you want to be welcomed and beloved. All these are required the virtuous action, a virtuous dedication, meaning that you have to be kind and compassionate and sensible and wise, and thinking and treat and others with great respect. So, and you have to be really like someone and truly and nice and make it socially highly venerated, respected. So again, so you have to use your human conscious and it's a great functionality, the power, and to determine to do all kind of good things. So like the animals, for example, and when they see after they when they hungry, they will go get food, and after they get and they will lie down and rest. So yes, and the same thing. So all this are, and it tells that even animals who know how to intelligently and to make such a great selections and determine make the right decision when coming to what to take, what to reject. So we humans, of course, have a much more higher and sophisticated the power, the body, the entity, which is very powerful. We call it the mind. Yes, so you have to think of this very carefully and with a great detail. the bottom line is that we want happiness, and we are very natural, and in this particular aspect, we do not want the suffering, and we are also very natural, and that's our natural tendency is. So therefore, and we need to treat our body with a good, healthy, quality food, right? And but not alone, just to treat our body and with a good and high quality food. We at the same time, as the seekers of spiritual enlightenment, we also need to feed our consciousness, our mind, with a spiritual food, right? And with a good, higher quality and spiritual food. That is the Dharma, Buddha Dharma. And let me just say something, and in addition to what I said earlier, the forming the friends, or to be careful with the how to make your relationship. In Buddhism, and the scripture, and the Buddha taught and to his disciple, the two areas, and the Buddha said, you got to be careful when you engage in, prior to you take any form of action and engage in. And so the two areas, one is anything that involve with human sensations. Okay? And second is anything that involve with the human perceptions. So sensation and perception, these two areas, you got to be very careful, very selective, and very carefully managed. Why? It's because Buddha said things that involve with the sensation and things that involve with the perception is the cause of all kinds of quarrels, arguments, and confrontation. Why? Because when you go with your sensations, right, very easily, and you will attach to that very sensation, right? Each individual who would just naturally having a hard time to detach from one's own sensibility, one's own sensations, right? So when you go and make a close association, or forming a close relationship with someone that's involved with the feeling or the sensations, and because of attachment, and you will experience the aversion, the anger. So therefore, be careful. And when you forming a relationship, and if that involved with the sensibility or consciousness or not. Next is the perception. And the perception is more or less is involved with one's belief system, one's ideology, and one's value, sort of the system of one's value and moral judgment. And that again, and we humans generally will attach to our own belief system, will naturally sort of attached to, and what we believe is good or is true. And yes, because we attach to our idea, and once we somebody challenge this attachment, this idea, then we will experience aversion, the anger, and then we will accumulate the negative for objects or the causes of the sense and sensibility and the perception is something that we have to time to time. So it's like a disease, and even if it's very small, right, and tiny, sort of a very minor, you have to be careful and before and walk in the right way. Similarly, like feelings and the perceptions, when you forming and we experience the forming ideas and experience the sensations. and you have to say, oh, I just feel so, or this is, and think about it. Don't ignore or downplay it, but rather you're taking very take it very examine it very carefully, because that could be very powerful and influence your entire decisions. So anyway, until you really truly establish the strong belief in karma, the cause effect, the good action that brings the happiness and unwanted the wanted happiness, and the negative action and causes unwanted sufferings, until you develop a certainty, the certainty in the knowledge in the law of karma, and so your study on your exam has to be done very skillfully and carefully. And once you develop this very strong belief in the law of karma, and like a food, once you had this taste, and then no one can change your belief. But yes, and this is the argument regarding the life after. So my request for you is that yes, so even if you not fully can believe it, but don't leave as it is, and do the inquiry and study, examine, and questioning. And really find out whether that life after is something and truly is the thing or not. And so your inquiry, your careful exam, right, and is definitely will be something very important for you to gain the whole picture of the form of spirituality which we are talking about.